Hey everybody, it's Holly here, and I am back for your next stamp, and we are going to be assembling the butterfly gift box. This is the butterfly gift box, and this is what you get in it. You get 5 pieces. You get the box, which you're going to need to cut 2 of. Then you get this extra additional tab that has a circle on top, and you get 1 of those, which we would cut 2 of. And then you get 2 halves of a butterfly, and this is an extra topper that you can use to close the box with too. So you basically have this option to close the box with, or you can use this one to close the box with. And I'm going to make a box that I made here, and this I did for the color challenge, so I used just the challenges from the colors, or the colors from the challenge. So I used the little round ones for the top here, and then I kind of deconstructed the butterfly and reassembled it and made a butterfly with it. You could also use this on your cards or other project scrapbook pages. It's another way to kind of multiple use your dies. You don't have to just use it for the box. So first thing I did was I cut the pieces out, and I'm actually using some Bristol cardstock today. So I cut 2, move these out of the way so they don't get colored, 2 of the box pieces. You can see there's a tab on each side, so you want 2 of these. And then I also cut 2 of the little topper closure parts that have the circle on it. And then we also have each half of the butterfly. And then I also cut one of the Cool Tags 3 dies. I cut one from white and one from black. And then I also used the new stitch tags, and I cut one of those as well from another piece of white. So first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to emboss the splattered butterfly image onto these panels. So I've already got that stamp set in my MISTI here, and my desk is a horrible mess, so excuse me with that. So here is that stamp set that we're going to use. It's the one that has all of the butterfly ink splatter background. So we're going to use that. You could use anything you wanted to in the background for this. You'll get the same results from it basically. I have to find all my stuff here is buried. Okay. Well, we don't need that right there. So using the embossing powder anti-static bag, and I'm just going to use that on both of my pieces to help with reducing the static for my embossing. Okay, so I'll put this one in here first. There we go. So I'm going to ink that up with some Versamark ink. Do a little bit of CPR stamping to make sure everything's nicely covered. Now I'm working on Bristol cardstock, which has a little bit of texture to it, so I'm going to go ahead and do this twice. Just to make sure I've got even coverage, nice and even for my embossing. Set that aside there. Okay, and then I'm going to use some Hero Arts clear embossing powder. I'm just going to go over that with the powder. And with it being clear powder, the white of the paper is what my color is going to end up being when I'm all done. Now, we're going to be using distress ink on this and kind of make a distressed background. So these butterflies are not going to be super defined, so you don't have to worry about making sure everything's covered perfectly and everything's really the way you want it. You just want to make sure you don't have a lot of extra embossing powder in places there's really no design, because it'll just be more part of the distressed look to your project. Okay, so then I'm just going to heat set that with my heat tool, and then I'll be right back. So now we have these two pieces, and you want to make sure when you're adding your distress ink that you have everything in the right side up in the way you're going to go here. Okay, so we'll start with the first piece here. And I'm using colors that are from the current Your Next Stamp Challenge, so head over to the blog to get information on that. So I'm going to be using Candied Apple, Twisted Citron, Squeezed Lemonade, Seedless Preserve, and Spiced Marmalade. So I'm going to start with the Twisted Citron first. I'm just going to put some of that down on my paper, on my mat. Give it a little bit of squirt. And then I need a piece of acetate, and I am literally just using whatever acetate I can find on my desk. There's a little piece of acetate that I keep that had my enamel dots in, my gumdrops, so you don't have to like get anything fancy for this. And I'm just smooshing the color down onto the paper is all I'm doing. And then we're just going to dry that. I'm going to dry each layer in between, just so I don't get too much mixing of my colors. Nothing gets muddy as it's mixing. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up while I'm doing this, because this is not a technique that's new. This is something everybody has seen done a million times. So I'm just going to go ahead and speed this up. Okay, and then once your pieces are all dry, you're going to want to take a clean paper towel, and you're going to want to not use a wet paper towel, a dry, clean paper towel, and you're going to rub over all the embossing that you did, and that will actually take off any of that distress ink that might be laying on top of that embossing that you did, because that will come off and like rub all over everything that you touch. Plus it helps brighten up the white. So you can kind of see the faint butterfly. It kind of looks like it does when you spray stress ink with the water, and you spritz it and you dab it off with a paper towel. This kind of gives you the same effect without having to do that. And these are tiny little butterfly shapes. Pretty cool. Okay, so then you're going to want to make sure everything's nice and scored along the lines. You can use your bone folder for this or just your hands. And I'm using, like I said, Bristol cardstock. This is kind of thick cardstock. This that would work just using it on pattern paper or regular cardstock as well. Okay. Now, to assemble the box, you're going to want to line up the pieces. So the tab here, tab to the left, tab to the right, tab from the left going into the right, etc., etc. I'm using some score tape. You just want any type of really strong adhesive, so score tape or what's it called? Sticky strip would work really well. Find my scissors here. I should say a pair of scissors. So you're going to put that on both of these little tabs, or flaps, whatever you want to call them, sticking out here. So we're going to pull that back, and you're going to line this up. Just use the lines down here on the flap to match that up. Just like that. Bend it, make sure it's all good, and then you can do the same on this side. Just like that. Now for the bottom, you're just going to fold two flaps in and then one over the top. You can go any way you want to. And you're just going to put adhesive on one strip here. And then you just go from the inside of the box. Mine's got some distress ink in there, but that's okay. Okay. So now there's no score lines on the top here. You just want to gently fold these in. And that's how we're going to close the box, basically, when we close it in like that. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and use the butterflies. And I am going to poke out all the pieces here in the center. So once you have all your pieces done, I'm going to use the same distress ink here, the Seedless Preserves, and I'm going to put it down on my mat actually. And I'm going to run my tool into it, and then I'm going to come onto the butterfly. And I'm doing that because I don't want a super dark color to the butterfly. I kind of just want a light, I don't want that super intense color. And I'm going to do a little bit on the back side too, because it'll stick out on my tag I'm going to put it on. And then I'm going to also want to trim this while I have it. So you can see there's a little mark right here where if you were to use it as a closure, I'm going to trim right on that mark. Just like that on the one side. And on the other side, I'm going to actually leave, I don't know if you can see that, I'm going to leave a little bit of an edge so that it has something to connect to on the other side. And you want to make sure you ink that up so you've got the right amount of coverage. Now, I'm going to take these pieces here because I want them to have that same distress look that the box does. I'm going to take my distress sprayer and I'm just going to lightly spritz or make mega spritzes, whatever you want to call it, since mine kind of blobbed up there. Just give it a second or two, And then you're going to drop paper towel on it. And then you've got some distress look to it. It's like magic. Let's dry it up. So now to assemble my butterfly, we're going to do that because we want to make sure it can dry for a minute. So, and I'm not sure if you can see, but there's that line that we left there on this one that we cut off on this one. I'm going to put my Ranger Multimedia mat along that line. And again, this is just an alternative way to use the butterfly. You can use it as the top part of your box. Just put that down there. And I'm going to make sure, there you go. Now, this is, so you're going to take these pieces here, and you're going to set them right into that top flap, and you're just going to put some adhesive on it. Now, when you put the adhesive on, when you die cut this, there was a back side and a front side when you ran it through your machine, and sometimes you can tell with the Big Shot, like I've got some little creases and dings in there from my cutting plate, so that kind of helps me know which one's the front and which one's the back. And also usually your front time piece is a little bit smoother. So I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on the front part of that, because that's going to go onto the inside of my it's going to face the inside of the box. Like that. So then when you go to close your box, you would fold these in gently. And then you would fold these over into each other just like that. And you get your little box. Now, if you were going to use the butterflies, you would do the exact same thing I just did with the butterfly piece, because it has this part right here that's going to hook down into the flap. We took the butterfly apart and we're using it a little differently. And our banner, and I used a stamp from the Pull Tag Banner Sentiments. I'm using the From Me to You. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that onto the little white tag. I'm going to use some Versamark ink so it's nice and black. Like that. So there's your box, there's your little butterflies. A different way to use the butterfly die box. Butterfly gift box is what it's called. So there you go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.